Welcome to the Happier and Healthier podcast. I'm your host, Maria Marlowe, and this is a place where we don't rely on good luck or good genes for our health and happiness, but rather we create it with our thoughts and our actions each and every single day. Each week, I'll bring you a thought or a guest that will help you live your happiest and healthiest life. Are you ready? Welcome back to the Happier and Healthier podcast. We are just a little bit over a week into the new year, and I hope that you've had a fantastic start to 2020. Since this is the time of year that we typically reflect and set new goals for our future, today we're talking about an industry that I believe is going to be an integral part of the future of healthcare, and that is, of course, health coaching. Health coaching is an industry that has not only profoundly improved my health, physically, mentally, and emotionally, it has allowed me to carve out a full-time career doing what I love, helping people better understand their bodies and adopt healthier eating and living habits. Many, if not most, New Year's resolutions have to do with reaching some sort of health milestone, such as losing weight, lowering your blood pressure, or going to the gym more often. These are all things a health coach can help you with. So if doing it on your own in the past hasn't worked, I hope that this episode inspires you to find a health coach who can guide and support you in reaching your health goals. Personally, I specialize in helping people reach their ideal weight or clear up their acne through improving their diet and their lifestyle. So if you need help achieving either of those goals, head to my site, www.mariamarlowe.com, and Marlowe has a W-E at the end. Another area that resolutions tend to focus on are learning and career. And if that's the case for you, then I hope this episode inspires you to go after your dreams. If there's something you're interested and passionate about, use 2020 to learn more about it. Take classes, get a mentor, start a blog about it. Do whatever you can to fulfill that passion and to start seeing what it would be like to go down that path. Today, of course, we're going to talk specifically about health coaching. Many of you probably know my story, which is that I started off working in finance and had a whole laundry list of health problems, which were only solved by changing my diet and lifestyle. So that got me interested in health and wellness, and more specifically nutrition. So I ended up completely changing career paths and becoming a health coach and making that my full-time career. My guest today, Jim Curtis, also had a similar experience. He started off on Wall Street, quickly got burnt out and sick, and realized that he needed to change his diet and lifestyle in order to get well. That inspired him to change his career path and focus on the intersection between technology and wellness. In the past, he's worked at both WebMD and Everyday Health in high-level roles, and now he's the head of brand at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which is my alma mater and where I studied health coaching. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the importance of health coaching, the major growth and advancements in the industry in the past couple of years, and why we believe it will soon become an integral part of healthcare. Before I jump into the interview, I want to let you know that you can learn more about health coaching with a free sample class at IIN. To get it, simply head to integrativenutrition.com/Maria-Marlowe, and Marlowe is Marlowe. I know many of you are already familiar with IIN, so if you've already decided that you're ready to make 2020 the year that you follow your dreams and are ready to attend IIN, then now is the time. I've asked the school to give my listeners a huge savings and bonus. Between now and January 12th, 2020, all listeners of this podcast will get 25% off tuition, plus be enrolled in my business mentorship program, which is an intensive business bootcamp, and it will give you all of the tools and steps that you need to take to turn health coaching into a full-time business. To be eligible for the bonuses, when you call to enroll, simply mention my name, Maria Marlowe, and email me at info@mariamarlowe.com with the subject IIN bonus. Jim, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Can you tell us what the mission of IIN is and why is it so important?
Well, the mission really is and has been, starting with our founder, Joshua, who has created something truly amazing, is to create a ripple of health and happiness in the world. And when you think of a ripple and dropping a stone into a water or a pond and you see the ripples going larger and larger and larger, our mission is to light up people so that they can light up other people so that they can light up other people. And somehow we can change the disease of this world, the growing unhealthiness, into healthiness. But it doesn't just stop there, because it's not only about the health of your body and the food that you're eating, it's also the health of your mind and your spirit. So we can talk maybe more about that later.
Yeah, I love the idea or the thought of the ripple effect. And that's something that even back when I was attending the program, they talked about, and something that always resonated with me, because I think very often it's easy to think, oh, one small change is not going to make a difference. Or if I help one person, it's not going to make a difference. But the truth is, there is this huge ripple effect, and we do have a bigger influence than we know oftentimes.
Really do. And the best thing about the ripple effect is every time that you make one small change in someone, you end up feeling so great. It's like our creator, whatever we believe in as a higher power, gave us this wonderful gift. And it's when you help others, when you help out. I always say, when in doubt, look out. When you start to help others, you just immediately start to feel better in your life.
Definitely. It's definitely a very rewarding feeling when you can see that what you're saying or what you're doing is helping someone, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So can you share a little bit of your own story and why are you so passionate about holistic health now?
Well, because it helped me so much. So when I was 20 years old, I woke up and my left foot was numb. And it was just strange. I was living on Cape Cod and I was working as a waiter. I was actually driving my 10-speed bicycle around because I was having a lot of fun. I was drinking a lot and I didn't want to get in a car accident. So I was driving my 10-speed bicycle around Cape Cod. And one night on the way home from work or the bar, I hit a bunch of sand and I flipped over the handlebars. And the next day when I woke up, my foot was numb and I immediately attributed it to this bicycle accident that I had on the way home. Thank God I wasn't driving a car. And I figured that it was a pinched nerve or something and that it would go away. But it didn't. It started to grow. That's meaning the numbness in my foot started to go up to my calf and to my leg. And then I started to get these terrible flu-like symptoms and a lot of pain. So my mother, being an ER nurse at Boston Medical Center, took me to get an MRI. And what that MRI showed is that I had tumors on my spinal cord. So it was almost as if, the universe, our higher power, whomever, got me in that little bicycle accident to, get me to check something out. And so when I realized that I had this issue, I started to go all around the world looking for a diagnosis. How did this happen? It wasn't cancerous. It looked like they were growing and shrinking. So it wasn't multiple sclerosis. And I went everywhere. And it felt as though I had so much inflammation in my body. So it took years. It took years to kind of figure out where it was, all the way to the point where one day I woke up and I couldn't walk. And so I started to look more holistic because everybody from the Cleveland Clinic to the Mayo Clinic to Johns Hopkins Medical couldn't figure out what it was. So I started to look towards Chinese medicine. I started to look towards Ecuadorian shaman, grandmasters of Kung Fu, anybody who could work with energy. And I started to do my own work internally on my body energetically. And what I found is that through our minds, we create so much inflammation in our body that I was creating inflammation around pain points in my own body. And when I was able to lower that inflammation, I was able to have better results with the treatments that I was getting from typical Western medicine. And I ended up seeing about 200 different gurus or healers, and some were great and some were not. And I ended up writing a book about it. But what happened to me is that it led me to not only have a spiritual practice, but understand that we are all vibrating at the cellular level and that energy is important, but also that our food, the food that we eat, kind of fuels the machine. And you can put in great food into the machine and vibrate at a higher level, or you can put in terrible food into the machine and really screw up that vibration. And so when I started, the last foray was with food, and when I started to eat a really clean diet and add this to everything else that I had learned, I just felt so much better. I felt amazingly better. I'm walking again. I'm fit. I have very little pain. And I was able to, in many ways, heal myself. And then I started to try to heal others. I found a way to hit a massive audience with the jobs that I worked at, or the book that I wrote, or a TED Talk. And then I found IIN, and I actually was going through the course. And I started to work for the company as well. So that's a little bit of my story.
I love that. I love hearing that for so many reasons. One, because I think that a lot of times people think you have to be perfect to be a health coach, but the truth is, for many health coaches, the desire to become one started from a health problem and something that the healthy lifestyle and healthy diet helped improve. So I think that's a really great point that you bring up. And I just love hearing those transformation stories like yours. The other thing I wanted to touch on, and I'd love for you to expand on, is the mental aspect of things and how you realized that your thoughts were actually creating inflammation in your body.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, what are some of the tips, techniques, tools for everyone else that's listening? Work is stressful, life is stressful. Most people are super duper stressed. And I think we forget how it's really affecting our body on so many different levels. So, what can we do?
It is. And I love that you said not perfect, right? Because I am so not perfect. But I think that imperfection really allows you to understand the good and the bad, and that helps people, right? So the most damaged of us, if we were able to recover or are in recovery from that, can spread the most good. So what with the mind is oftentimes we get caught up in our thoughts and we don't even realize we're thinking our thoughts, especially in relationship to people. If you have a relationship, a love relationship, or just very close friends and family, you find yourself reacting to them, either good or bad ways, without even realizing you're reacting. Oftentimes, if you're in an argument or any kind of conflict, you find yourself reacting without even knowing you're reacting, like you are in the story instead of watching the story. So it's really important to start to realize, like, oh, I just ran this entire loop in my brain where I've been going down this rabbit hole thinking about stuff without even realizing that I've been thinking about it obsessively, or that I just said that, or that I just took that action, or I had those terrible bad thoughts in my head about myself instead of being my biggest supporter. And the real secret is to take a step back and to realize we're creating our own reality. Therefore, we can watch the movie of our lives instead of being so caught up as a character in the movie. And how do you do that? To take a step back is really breathing and mindfulness and meditation. And I know those things are such buzzwords today, and it's only because they work so well that everybody is kind of waking up to this. But Dr. Andrew Weil has this box breathing technique that you breathe in, you hold, you breathe out, you hold. And if anybody's interested in that, I suggest they Google it and find it. But it slows down your mind so that you can start to be more mindful about, oh, did I really just have that thought? Did I just really say that negative thing to myself? And did I just have a conversation with someone and not really know what I was saying and now I regret it? It slows down your mind enough so you can be mindful and aware that these things are happening. Because the most important part of that is to be like, okay, I'm aware of it. I can do something different. I can make a choice in a different direction. And then when you start making the choices based on awareness, that you feel best about, inflammation in your mind goes down. And when your mind is not inflamed, meaning like anxious or obsessive, then you physically release less cortisol and other stressful chemicals in your body, and the inflammation in your body goes down. And that lowers pain and just allows you to operate at a much better level. So start with the mind, start with breathing, meditation, mindfulness.
Yeah, those three are very, very powerful, but it's true. I feel like they are sort of buzzwords now. And what I hear from a lot of people is that they can't sit still, or they don't have time to meditate. They don't have time to do these things. So, for anyone who's maybe thinking those thoughts right now, what words of encouragement do you have for them?
I would say if you're thinking like, I don't, there's this thing that the Dalai Lama, I have a quote up in my office that says like, if you have time to meditate, meditate for 10 minutes. If you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes, meditate for an hour. Meaning, listen, we can get on social media and go down the rabbit hole of Instagram, and before we know it, 30 minutes has gone. We always have time, even if it's 3 minutes to do some box breathing and to settle our minds. We always have the time. So the biggest thing is to be mindful of yourself, telling yourself that you don't have the time, and then make a choice that's different, saying, I'm going to carve out 3 minutes or 10 minutes right now to do this because I know I'll feel better. And what's important about that is really hearing. So when I was first beginning with meditation or just mindfulness, what I would find is that as soon as I sat down to do it, my mind would fight back. It literally, like as soon as I started to like, okay, this is my time to like settle myself and to get mindful and to breathe, everything would come up. Like, you forgot to pay that bill. What about the dog? What are you going to have for lunch? Oh my God, I have to like do this right now. And really, you don't. Really, you don't have to do any of that now. That's the samsara. That's the crazy diluted mind that we all have. If we follow Buddhism, that's what some of the tenets are. And really, you just have to make the choice and force yourself a little bit at first to say, I actually do have this time. I'm going to do it, and do it.
Yeah, those three things have all been really powerful and beneficial for me in my life as well. And for anyone who's interested in meditating, I do have a previous episode with Emily from Ziva Meditation.
Love Emily. She's great.
Yeah, she's awesome. Her book and her work is what helped me to actually create a meditation practice, a daily regular meditation practice, because before her, I found it very hard. I would do it on and off, but her technique was just really, really helpful. And I love that it also includes the mindfulness. So that was great. And then the breathing, I learned from Dr. Weil as well at the last IAN conference, which was quite cool. So I found that to be one of the most powerful and important things that I learned that day.
Oh, that's fantastic. Did you notice that just, 50% of the people that spoke at that conference were using some type of meditation for the crowd? It's really caught on, and those conferences are so much fun. All students get to go to the conference, and you get to be upfront and personal with people like Andrew Weil or Mark Hyman or yourself.
Yeah. No, I love the conference. Like, I love the IAN conferences, and I love learning. I've heard from Dr. Weil. I think that was the second time I've seen him at IAN Live. I know each year it's just getting better and better, the IAN training program. I finished it back in 2012. And I'm curious, what's new with the program? What do people have to look forward to in the program?
Well, you are 2012. You've been so successful since you graduated. That's fantastic. I love watching you on Instagram doing the things. So I've even used your supermarket shopping guide.
Awesome.
We were just in Dubai with you as well, and Allie, our marketing manager, came back and said such wonderful things about the good work that you're doing. So that just goes to show the people that go to IN, the people that are focused and progressive and take hold of their lives and make this commitment, become very successful because they're already in the mindset, and then they get the knowledge that they need. So what's changing? Okay, so what's changing is we are updating a lot of the content. So we have some new folks coming on. Hopefully you'll be doing some curriculum with us. We have Sahara Rose, who is going to be a visiting teacher. We have Jenny Sansusi, who is going to be teaching about herbs and CBD and mushrooms and the healing effects of those. We are updating the look and feel so that it's more modern and more vibrant. And we're updating how you can actually take the course online components so that it's easier to get what you need in regard to your materials to use as a coach. We're updating the business pieces of it so that you really have an understanding of how to run your own business. But now that so many different companies are actually hiring health coaches, how you could go and work for a hospital or a wellness center or some other company that has corporate wellness. So we're updating the content, the look, the feel, and the design, and it's almost all done now. So in January, the January 13th course, which I hope that people sign up for, you start to get some tastes of this, and it's just a really exciting time. So since you graduated, we have Robin Euclid in the curriculum and another other great experts that have become visiting teachers.
One of the things that attracted me to IIN in the first place was that you guys do have some of the best teachers in the health, the nutrition, wellness world, like the Dr. Wiles, the Dr. Hymans, Dr. Joel Furman, he was a favorite. Dr. Walter Willett, he was the head of the nutrition at Harvard for over 2 decades. So you really do have some of the best teachers that I've seen compared to other programs. And I know that IIN was the original health coach training program. I have seen that there are others now. I'm curious, what do you think sets IIN apart from these other training programs?
Yes, we joke around the office that we're the OGs of wellness because our founder, Joshua, started this in his kitchen in like 1992. And there wasn't health coaching really. He started this movement of health coaching. And after 30 years, he's retired. We still keep him in the curriculum. But what's interesting and what we love so much is the people that go through our program become so successful that most of the other programs, so not most, but the biggest ones, the 3 biggest ones that I can think of, have been started by graduates of IIN. They went on to start their own teaching programs. And sometimes people say, do you think that's competitive? And I don't, because there are 100 million pre-diabetic Americans. IIN can't get to them all. We may be the best, we may be the original, but I'm so proud of those students who have graduated and taken what they've learned to the next level for themselves. What also sets us apart is that we're licensed vocational school. We're an actual vocational school. So this is not Jim Curtis saying, hey, I have a new health coaching program. You should learn from me because I have things to say. That's good. But this is a licensed vocational school by the state of New York. That means that you actually get college credit. If you were to apply this towards a college education, it's about 40 credits. You have the highest standards in education because we're audited. They come through and make sure that our curriculum is up to date, make sure that what we're teaching people is correct and safe in a wonderful way, meaning it has to go through an audit for how we provide the information as well as what the information is. So, there's a real credibility there.
I love that. Yeah, that definitely makes a big difference. I've seen programs that are only a few weeks or a few months also, which I feel like is definitely not substantial enough to really teach you what you need to know. And I think that the IIN program, which is a year in length, or I know you now have the accelerated program, which is the same amount of content just in 6 months. I feel like IIN really gives you a very well-rounded view of wellness. It's not just what's on your plate. It's also everything else going on in your life, your stress, your mind, like we talked about, because our body is not just physical, it's mental, it's spiritual. And if we really want to be healthy, we need to look at it very holistically. And I think that's something wonderful about IIN is that you do have this very holistic viewpoint about health.
I agree with you. There's 100 different dietary theories that are taught by the biggest, most well-known names in the nutrition and health world, I would say. And so you really get a great understanding of everything. And what we call something is bioindividuality, meaning you need to know 100 different theories because there's no one size fits all when it comes to health. Someone may respond really well to a vegan diet, and you may believe that that is the correct choice for yourself or for them, but other people may not, right? So you need to find out and tailor the program to the person as opposed to the person to the program. And unlike any other school, we teach 100 different theories from all the different experts out there, but then we give you the business tools that you need. And we're going to be partnering with Gabby Bernstein and Marie Forleo to enhance those this coming in 2020. So really important that it's not just trying to fit in one size into one state point of mind. Instead, you have bio-individuality, so we teach you 100 different dietary theories, and then get into the primary foods, which are my favorite. When we talked about this, primary foods specifically are, how do you have purpose in your life, a spiritual practice that really lifts you up, and awareness, meditation, kind of what are your relationships like, that type of thing. Those are your primary foods, what's not on your plate, and then you get into the nutrition of your life.
Yeah, I love it. So well-rounded. For anyone who's not fully sure about health coaching or fully clear on the role of a health coach, can you explain what is the role of a health coach in terms of where do they fit in the healthcare system?
So the role of the health coach is growing, and it's super exciting time. It's such an exciting time. So the American Medical Association just released the initial CPT codes for health coaching. And what does that mean? A CPT code is the initial code that allows you to submit to insurance so that insurance will pay for health coaching as you're a patient, right? We're not there yet. So these initial CPT codes will allow us to get data to show that health coaching is actually effective on someone's health, and then we'll move towards payment. And so if you think about it, say, why is this important? Health coaching is, we don't need to be part of the healthcare system. We're fixing the healthcare system. And I say that's correct. But this is important if you think about it. Chiropractic and massage are now covered by insurance. And before, when they weren't, they were kind of these fringe treatments. And now that they're covered by insurance, so many more millions of people can afford to get them. So when health coaching actually becomes covered, which we've taken the initial step, this will be mainstream. It's already mainstream and growing. This will be available to all, whether you can afford it or not. And in advance of that, hospitals like the Cleveland Clinic with Mark Hyman are hiring health coaches to start. In today's healthcare system, patients get 8 minutes or less with their doctor. Health coaches pick up the slack, and they actually guide you through what you need to do within your healthcare, whether it's from a treatment plan or guide you through a nutrition plan or how you should just live healthier in general, what you need to do for next steps. They become the guides. When the doctor kind of gives you the prescription, your 8 minutes with him, and this is what's happening, this is your advocate. The health coach becomes your advocate in actually achieving what you need to do. Even wellness centers, big ones like The Well, that just opened up, 2 graduates from IIN, Sarah is one of them, opened up a place called The Well in New York City, and they've hired 12 health coaches from IIN. There are so many different work opportunities, whether starting your own business and having individual clients to working in large companies or hospital systems. And it's really as the guide and the advocate for patients so they can feel better.
Yeah, and it's been so incredible to watch how health coaching has really blossomed. When I did the program back in 2012, graduated in 2013, people still didn't know what a health coach was. And the way that I actually found IIN was that I used to live near the Westerly, which was a really popular mom and pop health food store in New York. And I used to go in there and I would just literally spend hours in the aisles looking at all the new health foods. And whenever I'd pick up a package of kale chips, they were popular at the time, or some healthy chocolate, dark chocolate, it would say made by health coach, so and so. And so that was the first time that I saw the term health coach was in the health food store. but I didn't actually know what one was. And even when I first started, I was a little bit skeptical and nervous. I didn't know if people were going to hire a health coach because I didn't think they knew what one was. And now you fast forward just a few years, and health coaching is a household word. Places like the Cleveland Clinic and various different medical centers across the country are hiring health coaches and keeping them on staff. There's businesses like the wellness centers that have health coaches. So it's really been quite amazing to see just how far health coaching has come really in the like less than a decade.
It really is. And why does something like that happen? It's because there's a real need. When you try to force something like, I'm going to create this and make people want it, maybe that happens in fashion, but not in the other important parts of your life, right? So it's born of a real need and a real issue in the world. And that is more and more people, if you read the New York Times article recently that came out called Our Food is Making Us Sick, about how much sugar. Dr. Mark Hyman says that we eat like a liter of sugar a day, or it's something absolutely crazy. It's literally making us sick. So the reason why this is growing so quickly is because it's needed so badly.
Definitely. I always, just looking at the statistics of the US, you were talking about pre-diabetics before. The cancer rate, the US CDC has stated that 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women in America will get cancer at some point in their lifetime, statistically. Like, that's just insane. That is absolutely insane. And we know that many of the common chronic illnesses and diseases, like heart disease, which is the number one killer, is very much diet and lifestyle related and can be prevented with healthier habits. I think health coaching has a really bright future, and I think that it's going to continue to grow and grow. I'm curious, from your opinion, where do you see health coaching in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it's going to continue to grow. I agree with you. And in the next 5 to 10 years, I think it's going to be paid for by insurance. I think that it will go through and get its own CPT codes. I think that health coaches will be a everyday adjunct to what you're doing in regard to your healthcare. So I believe that health coaches will be on staff in they already are, but in every hospital, in every wellness doctor's office. But I also think that health coaches will be far more in demand in starting their own practices like doctors are and have many patients coming so that people can specialize. So I believe health coaching will get more specialized, meaning I'm a health coach that specializes in inflammation of the gut or the gut biome, or I'm a health coach that specializes in healthy eating behavior or emotional eating, or I'm a health coach that specializes in meditation and mindfulness. So already you can start to, and with IN, you can start to specialize in these things. But I believe, like doctors, in the early days of medicine, there you went to the doctor, and then as it became more and more evolved, you started to go to specialists. You went to your endocrinologist or your neurologist, or there's just any doctor that you can go to is a specialist. I believe that health coaching will go in the same way. So now as you sign up and you get the information and you get your certificate, we offer courses that can give you a specialty like gut health. The microbiome is your second brain and is very important and talked about often today, or hormone health, or emotional eating, or business. There's also a big business aspect in this, meaning we often forget that understanding how we make a living in a healthy way that empowers us is part of our wellness. So we offer business tools.
Yeah, that's actually something that you guys didn't really have back when I did the program. There was a business program, but there wasn't the additional programs to specialize in different areas like gut health or hormone health. So that's really awesome that you guys have added that now. So you mentioned a few notable graduates and the cool things that they're doing, but I'm curious, do you have any favorite grad success stories or any cool career paths that you've seen, just to inspire our listeners, anyone who's thinking about becoming a health coach, what the possibilities are?
Maria Marlowe, that's a good one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're super inspiring. I love what you're doing. bringing what you do to Dubai, and so that you're really global. And that's what's important. I think oftentimes we're based in New York City here for IIN, and we have students in 155 countries. But we start to think about like our little worlds, which are like the couple miles around where we live. And this is a global phenomenon, knowing that when you get this education, you can literally work anywhere. Australia is a big place for us now. Canada, Dubai is breaking into the wellness scene in a massive way. So you're doing awesome work. I also love what Jenny Sansusi is doing. Jenny Sansusi came out and she became an expert in CBD and medicinal mushrooms. And she became a coach for folks to see really what these herbs can do for their health. And then her father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and she started to experiment on him in regard to the healing powers of medicinal mushrooms, cannabis, and CBD. And she really believes that he has been so healthy for so long with such a difficult diagnosis. It's because of these things. And she went on to get a book deal and is launching her book in just a couple months' time. So I think it's going to be called The Rebel's Apothecary. So she's one of my favorite success stories. But we also have Bobbi Brown, who I'm interviewing today. You know Bobbi Brown from Bobbi Brown Cosmetics.
Of course, yeah. I know she's super into the wellness scene.
Yes. And she's awesome. I love talking with her. So Bobbi is, we're doing a webinar today with Bobbi, and I think it actually goes live in a couple days, but she really created Bobbi Brown Cosmetics and was super stressed out in her job, ended up, selling the company and going through the IIN course and starting a new business that is much more holistic and driven by health. So those are a couple of big names, but every day I get emails and on our social media comments from students who have gone on to have 10, 20, 30 clients that they see on a monthly basis. So they're really spreading the ripple effect by creating their own practice individually, and they're making a good amount of money too.
Yeah. I think the most important thing as a health coach to really make it a viable business is to get really clear, like you said, and to specialize in an area, focus on that. And then now there are so many more jobs where you can go and work for wellness centers, doctors' offices, etc. But you could also work for yourself. That's obviously a bit harder because you have to do a lot more work, but it's definitely the most rewarding, and you can see a lot of growth if you really just put in the time and the effort and the dedication to it. So there's many different paths that you can take as a health coach. It's just really up to you to decide who you want to serve and how you want to help make the world a healthier place. So one question that I love to ask all of my guests is there any one tip or one piece of advice you can leave our listeners to live a happier and healthier life?
Yes. And it is, don't worry, it's not as important as you think.
That's a good one.
None of it really matters in the grand scheme of it. I mean, all of this matters, right? And just to put some information around that, it all matters. But the things that you're worrying about so much today, in a month, you probably won't worry about them as much. So it's not as important as you think.
I love that. Very well said. That will help keep your brain inflammation down, huh?
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's what I try to do every day. Just the inflammation of the mind, reducing it.
Well, I'm all for that. Thank you so much for being here, Jim. And for our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We have a little special announcement for those of you that are interested in attending IIN. I've teamed up with IIN to offer all of my listeners of this podcast 25% off tuition to help you get kickstarted with your new career this year. To get your savings, you have to enroll between today and January 12th, and then the next class kicks off on January 13th. So you'll get 25% off tuition, which is a $1,500 savings, Plus, you'll be entered into my intensive business mentorship program, which is essentially a mini business bootcamp. And I'll be giving you all of the tools and resources that you need, as well as a very specific action plan to take in order to turn health coaching into a full-time business. To get both of these bonuses, it's very simple. When you call to enroll, simply mention that you'd like to add Maria Marlowe as your ambassador referral. Also be sure to send me an email at info@mariamarlowe.com with the subject line IIN bonus. When you do these two things, you'll be automatically entered into my business mentorship program and you will get the 25% off tuition. Attending IIN was one of the best decisions that I ever made. For me, it was life-changing both personally and professionally. So I hope that this New Year's gift and New Year's bonus helps you take that step forward to study with IIN and begin your own journey into health and wellness and health coaching. If you'd like to take a free sample class before you make that leap, head to integrativenutrition.com/Maria-Marlowe. Happy New Year!